Welcome, welcome, welcome to the free astrotheology class. Course. I hope you all will enjoy what you're learning. I'll do my best to make everything as easy to understand as I can in the moment. Okay? All right, here we go. Our textbook is The Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC, the Christ figure. The author is Bill Darlington. Okay, so you'll get the link to the free PDF in the description area of this video. Also links to my books and my classes. Okay, so for those of you who have subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, when you go through that course one time, go back from the beginning and repeat it, okay? The objective of the course, as with any course or body of knowledge, is not to get through it, but it is to learn and understand and then be able to use it, okay? To be able to use it. That's the purpose. So for those of you who have completed it, go back from the beginning and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until you make it your own, okay? All right. If you want to, at that point, if you feel comfortable, enroll in the 506 The Curses course at completion of that course. But it's best that you continue in the 101 course as well. That's the fundamentals, okay? You get the fundamentals there. And it's just like anything else. The first time you go through something, you're not going to see everything. The second time you go through it, you'll see things that you didn't see the first time. You have a completely different understanding of some things you thought you understood. The third time, it's the same thing. The fourth time, it's the same thing. So take your time when you go through it. Understanding something when you see it is one thing, but using it is another. Becoming comfortable with it is another, okay? So again, for those of you who have completed it, repeat it, okay? Start from the beginning and do it over, and then do it over, and then do it over. You can enroll in 506 The Curses course. Those are the two classes that I offer right now, okay? That 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, and then the 506 The Curses course, okay? That's Deuteronomy chapter 28 is what we're working with in that live class, all right? So that class is Saturday, 10 a.m., all right? So I'm inviting you, especially those who have completed the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. When I say complete, what I mean is that you reach the last video. I think there's 112 or 113 videos in that class. Once you get to the last video, enroll in 506 The Curses course, okay? Enroll, but you don't have to complete the 101 course in order to enroll. You don't even have to subscribe. I'm just giving you some suggestions. All right, so let's get started. We're on page 22. The links to everything is in the description area of this video. The classes, my books, all the links are there. The free links to our textbook here, the free link to the Ruin of Nations that has inside of it the natural law book inserted inside of it, and then also the Devil's Pulpit. All those free links are in the description area of this video. I'm going to try to find the Kabbalion and put that link there also. But give me some time because it's not my number one thing to do. So give me some time. I got to get around to it. But once I do that, I'll put it in there. All right. So let's get started. We're on page 22. Oh, by the way, thank you for those of you who have supported the project to write the Book of the Law in Ancient Ibaryath in modern English. So thank you for your support. Also, thank you to those who have enrolled in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath class and who are buying my book. So much gratitude and thanks to all of you all for your support. All right, give me 1 second. I'll get my napkin out. Page 22. Let's begin. So we completed. Virgo. I wanted to get to the part about pettiness on Virgo because I wanted to see that. Let me see if I can find. I'm not going to spend too much time searching for it, y'all. But I really do want to see the pettiness. What the author says about pettiness in Virgo. So be patient. So we're going to stick with, I don't remember if I covered pettiness in the last video. So give me a minute. Let me scan through the text to see if I can find something about pettiness. Okay? So, all right. So if there's any new people here, page 22, the author provides a table. And in this table, he shows how and why he sectioned off the book of Mark, the Gospel of Mark, into zodiacal signs. Okay, he gives the verses. Now, scholars, you should keep in mind that these verses may have meaning embedded in them. Okay, so why would that be? People who are in the inner house may understand the coding of the verses. I've shown that even recently. Okay, so these numbered verses may be codes or signs, guideposts. So we need to be aware of them. So I was able to get some books printed on numbers. So I'm going to go through those books little by little, and if I find anything that will explain or that will show a pattern about how the text is numbered, chapter and verse, then I'm going to bring that to y'all's attention, okay? So let's see what happens. All right, so I'm saying that because he may have chosen these verses because they have meaning. They may be signposts that he or others may be aware of, and he's not telling us, or they're not telling us, right? He also gives the main events that point to the text being whatever zodiac sign he assigns to it or says it is. And then finally, zodiacal keywords, okay? So keywords in the zodiac, in the mythological stories, and in the text that identify the text as being one zodiac sign or the other. So those of you who are new, that's why we're doing this. So let's get going. I'm going to go to page, and be patient because I'm going to be silent. Be patient while I search through this, okay? I'm looking for pettiness. I'm on page 141, by the way. If you want to participate in this, feel free. You can put what you find in the comment section, and when I see it, I'll read it. I'll go through it. Okay, so if you see something about pettiness, put it in the comment section, and then we can work through it together. I'll actually read it out and discuss it. All right. Oh, I want to discuss this. This doesn't have anything to do with pettiness, but it's worth discussing. Page 141, the last paragraph above the subheading. Okay, page 141. This is halfway through the paragraph. On the contrary, the spiritual life is a life of crisis, choice, discrimination, decision, which demands, in Dane Rudhyar's word, quote unquote, the purification of desire and the steeling of the essential will. Steeling, they're using the metal, S-T-E-E-L, the steeling of the will. So again, we see that religious life will involve one crisis after another, one emergency after another, one urgent situation after another. Why? Because you don't have anything. Right? And that's the nature of the Dogon or the Raphaim, Oannes. That's their nature. Right? To cause havoc in your life. That's the problem. One of the main problems when you invoke these demons. Okay? That's the main problem. They're going to bring you suffering. Why? Because you're in the jurisdiction of the dead. That means you are civilly dead. And when you are civilly dead, that means you have no wealth. You have no wealth. You have no birthright. You have no defense. You don't even have anything to protect. So you are in a situation of want where you're going to have to work and toil at the sweat of your brow. Y'all see that? That's the punishment or the curses for not following the Most High's instructions, His commandments, which are natural law. As opposed to being in your proper person, following the Most High's commandments, which means that you are in harmony with nature. You have possession of your birthright. And because you have possession of your birthright, Mother Earth and her bounty belongs to you, and you can speak law, you can execute and enforce law to enjoy your birthrights. Okay, so one paradigm, which is reality, is that you're the substance of the law, period. And everything that Mother Earth has to offer or produces is yours. That's the covenant of grace, that we Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, are in the covenant of grace. Unless you are in religion. You are in religion, you're in the covenant of labor. You're in dense darkness. Right? You are under the authority of the Dogon. Maritime, Admiralty, Catholic canon, Christian law, which is not substance. All right? It is not substance. It's corporate. It's a corporate dead state. All right? And therefore, you are a corporation. And if you're in North America, the U.S. is going to deal with you as a corporation, which makes you a bondman and a bondwoman. And you need to work. You need to toil at the sweat of your brow for life. Okay? So when the author says here that the spiritual life is a life of crisis, it is literally a life of crisis. He's not lying to you. Choice. It is a choice. You choose. You choose. And demonstrate or give evidence through your own mouth that you are a religious person. Citing scriptures, condemning people with scriptures, living your life based on, when I'm talking about New Testament and Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences. Keep in mind that the Bible is a book of science that's been remixed into a book of religion. Okay, so make the distinction. Our ancestors, the Sabian Moors, etc., were scientists and engineers who studied nature, including the cosmos. And to protect the knowledge of the cosmos from the Catholic invaders. Yes, the Catholic invaders and their Moorish minions, those who were working with them, the black priesthood, the dark priesthood, the brotherhood of Saturnalia, or the brotherhood of Saturn. They remixed, our ancestors hid the knowledge of the cosmos in the form of the Gospels. Okay? And then the Catholics and our renegade ancestors created a religious book out of the Gospel, which was later expanded upon by the writings of Paul. Does everyone see how that worked? So they anthropomorphized the sun and the other celestial bodies, linked them up, paired them up with Raphaim, deities, okay? Paired them up with deities, and then created biographical stories for them. All right? For example, JC. He never lived, never walked on earth, and his story is a made-up biographical story. Okay? Etc., etc., etc. So, you're believing a lie, right? You are believing a lie when you believe that these Gospels are historical accounts of real men and women. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I've provided more than enough evidence to support that. Not just on my own, but with these books. So, spiritual life is a life of crisis? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You're out of your proper person, and you're out of your mind. And you're out of your mind. Because in the New Testament, in Admiralty, maritime law, you're dealing with abstracts, legal entities, fictions, legal fictions, etc. So you're out of your mind. If you think that you being an American Moor, for example, in the flesh, sprung from the soil, autochthonous. If you think that a corporate entity really has any authority over you, it's just a what? A creature of the imagination. In law, actually. I'm not making it up. Something that doesn't exist, has no substance, has authority over you. Well, you're out of your mind. You believe a lie. But that's the nature of religion, right? It's to get you to imagine things that aren't there and to believe a lie. Okay, that's the nature of it. Why do you think Christianity represents itself as two fish, as Pisces, duplicity, intentional deceit, so on and so forth? So there's a lot of truth in what the author is telling us here. Discrimination. That's such a vague term. I don't know how he's using discrimination. For example, is he using discrimination as in discerning good and evil, like religious people usually discuss and fight about? Or is he using discrimination as in discriminating against yourself and even your own people? The spiritual life causes you to turn against, to discriminate against your own people, self-destruct. Y'all see that? It says here, decision, you need to make hard decisions, right? Which might involve what? Cutting off your family. If the church says don't talk to your father anymore, or don't talk to your daughter anymore because they committed fornication or adultery or whatever, then the father and the mother, I've seen this many times, the father and the mother will literally stop associating and even supporting or helping their own child. Their own child. Because they committed fornication. So it says decision, right? You need to follow the Christ and the church leaders in whatever decisions they make regarding your heirs or your kinfolks. You need to do whatever they tell you. Y'all see? You see, yes, so does it take a lot to do that to your own flesh? Absolutely, it takes a lot. That's why they're saying here, decision, the stealing. In other words, you make your will steal, but you're using your will against yourself. Your will should be steeled or made as strong as steel in the direction of supporting you. Your will should interact with your own. Your masculine, so the will is masculine. For those of you who don't know, this is the Hermetic law of mental gender. The I am, according to science, exists outside of the fleshly body. It is non-local. It is everywhere, but nowhere at the same time, as it were. That's the major component of it, the I. So I has to be I am, right, scholars? I must be I am, because I am, stated differently, is I exist. Stated more accurately is I be. I remember when I was younger in elementary school, we used to talk like that. Oh, I be this and I be that. And the teachers, our teachers, the hybrids would try to shame us because we said I be all the time. And then only later in life I find out that I be is I am, more accurately. Okay? So I is just I. I be is I exist. See, I'm here. I exist. So that's the masculine energy. It's supposed to interact according to law with your feminine energy. Your feminine energy is everything you think about in your flesh and your ability to create. So feminine energy is responsible for creation. But masculine energy can be directed at you by other people, somebody else. Y'all hear me? And then that masculine energy will then interact, their masculine energy will interact with your masculine energy and create, your feminine energy will create what they want to be created. They'll create your mindset, your values, your behavior. Y'all see how this is working? Okay? So again, your will must be hard as steel to support you, not to support those who are sending psychic attacks against you 24 hours a day through the church, through religion, through the church, through the mosque, through whatever through religious books, religious music, religious symbols, okay? All of these things, charms, all of these things. Like, for example, images, icons such as a cross, other icons, etc. Actors and actresses, media. Y'all know how many of y'all have taken the jab, influenced by media, right? Harmed yourself and possibly your future generations. Who knows what's in that stuff? Who knows? Nobody will know for sure until after 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? And that's literally 15, 20 years. You won't know. Even then, it won't be clear. Okay? So this is real deep stuff. They are getting you. What does this demonstrate? Religion gets you to behave, to think and behave in such a way that Mother Nature punishes you. That nature itself will punish you. Doesn't that explain their power? Because people often wonder, how did they conquer us? How did they get us into this situation, into the condition that we're in? How did they conquer the whole world? Well, easy. They use nature, they use psychic attacks, and they use nature. Because they know that when you act out of harmony with nature, nature itself will punish you. Okay? Nature itself will punish you. And also the psychic attacks. Okay? That's a form of hypnosis rather. So any of you all who have had problems that you needed to deal with, and you went to the hospital or a psychiatrist, they may have referred you to a hypnotherapist, or maybe the psychiatrist or psychologist did it themselves, but oftentimes they give you hypnotherapy. And then all of a sudden you're better. So hypnosis is not some wicked, evil thing that y'all have been taught, especially by the verses in the New Testament. Hold on, y'all. I got to check a message. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so this Hypnosis is real. It is real, okay? It is real, and it has been a very effective weapon, because a hybrid has weaponized it. They weaponize everything, okay? And that's why I always bring to your attention, we must always make the distinction between a human, a Han-Uman, a hybrid troglodyte, and a man. A Genesis chapter 1, Han-Uman, human, mankind, created creature by the Elohim, by the Moors, Yaqub and his 12 feminine genetic engineering partners, or apostles, however you want to call it. And we, the autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, the rightful heirs. Okay? So we have to make that distinction. It is extremely important because it speaks to the mindset and motive. See, a cat will always be a cat. A dog will always be a dog. Doesn't matter if you bring the cat into the house or bring the dog into the house. It is still a dog, and it thinks like a dog, right? But Han-Uman is still Han-Uman. It still has animalistic desires, wild animal impulses, and we see it every day. The desire to kill, to deceive, we see it all the time. Did y'all see the comment that the hybrid troglodyte nigger put in my video, maybe one video ago? Did y'all see that? He wrote something like Afro theology, some disgraceful for him. I mean, he disgraced himself. But his comments, did y'all see that? What he wrote? So they will be who they're going to be. But the problem is when we expect fairness and justice to come from them. That's the problem. See, once you understand who they are, you don't expect these things, okay? And if they're behaving civilly, you know that any moment, or at that moment, they're being deceptive and deceitful. So you'll never trust your enemy, right? And it's not that we've made them our enemy, it's they've made us their enemy, right? And it's their nature, right? Chimpanzee or animals tend to be afraid of man, right? I think you get that in Genesis chapter 9. It's either 6 or 9, where the Most High said that he would maintain the fear of man and the animals. So they have the chimpanzee blood. They have the chimpanzee blood, so that's an animal. So they have a deep fear of us, right? And they can't explain it. They don't know why. It's just there. But that's the problem when you begin to hybridize. That's the problem when you begin to hybridize, okay? But anyway, so this stuff is real. So my message for everyone is to make your mental, masculine energy strong. This, I don't know totally why Noble Drew Ali said this, but I'm sure this has something to do with it. He said, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. But to declare your nationality, you first have to do what? You have to learn what your nationality is, and you got to learn the culture. The culture is what? Nature. The cosmos. The physical phenomena we call the cosmos, that we call nature, and the laws that undergird it. In other words, the laws that cause that phenomena to be. That's our culture. So you have to learn that. So if you learn that, and you remember the Prophet Noble Darrell-El said, love instead of hate. And he said, when you finish studying, go back and study yourself some more. So what is he talking about? This is the natural law of gender, mental gender, mental gender. See, in order for you to do all of this stuff, to follow his instructions, right? You have to do what? You need to study and you need to do. You need to do. So study and doing involves what? Planning, goal setting. All of this creates a what? A strong I am. A powerfully strong I am. And then when you throw on top of that honorable behavior, exiting religion, regardless of what religion you are in, getting out of it physically and mentally. So you can exit a religion, stop going to the house of worship, stop listening to the music. You can do all of that. But if you're still afraid, like many of you Christians are, you Hebrew Israelite Christians and Moorish Christians, you're still afraid of that deity or the religious remix, the doctrines, right? Like blasphemy, all of these things. You're still afraid of all of that stuff? The religion is still in you. When you pray or call on God or the Tetragrammaton, y'all remember the Tetragrammaton, right? Tetra, 4, grammar, aton, aten. The 4 letters, aton, aten, A-T-O-N, A-T-I-N, etc. That's a deity. Aten, aton. So they're playing games with words and grammar. And why are they doing it? So you can continue to invoke the Raphaim. But your life is evidence. If you're honest with yourself, your life is evidence that you're living a life of crisis. One crisis after another. One urgent situation after another. Even if you have fiat, let's say you have a good paying job, what are you going to be able to leave to your heirs? Not just your little ones. What about your kinfolk? What about your friends? See, our people, we don't even think like that. We don't even think like that. Everybody's thinking about themselves. And then maybe they're heirs. And that's a state of mind for disaster, because the next generation has nothing. Or maybe they have some fiat, but that's not substance. Let's say they have some fiat, but their cousins, Pookie and Ray Ray, ain't got nothing, right? So what kind of family dynamic is that going to create? Pookie and Ray Ray, they ain't got nothing. And Shaniqua, they don't have anything. But let's say yours has a bunch of fiat. So who's going to, I hope that's quite obvious, right? Hope what I'm saying is quite obvious. So if Pookie, Ray Ray, and Shaniqua, they don't have anything, how's the relationship dynamic going to be between your heir and his or her kinfolk, cousins? How's that going to play out through the course of their life? It's not going to be good, right? It's not going to be good. But anyway, let's cut that. Let's continue. As well as strength, right? So it requires strength, and I'm speaking from experience. It requires strength to cut people off who you love. Cut off your friends because they did something that your religious organization disapproves of. You need to cut them off. Okay? I had a friend rather. His name was John when I was a young man. In his 20s, he had early onset schizophrenia. And everybody cut him off. At the time when he needed people the most, everybody cut him off because of his behavior, right? But that's when he needed people the most. Well, they said, oh, well, you know, he's violent, he's this, he's that. Okay, so you can do things to help him from a distance if you're afraid, right? But everybody cut him off. And they did it, they justified it with religion. Okay, now that's an extreme example, but I know cases where young women, 17, 18, 19, 21 years old, had sexual relations, and then their parents kicked them out of the house. To be loyal to the church or to the religious organization, kick them out. Y'all know how disastrous that is? I mean, think about what that does to the child, to that young adult's or child's mind. And then, of course, when you throw a young person out of the house, all of the bad things that are almost certainly going to happen to them happen. These are young girls. Okay? Courage, inner stillness. That means even though you are doing things to harm your heirs, your kinfolk, your friends, you need to what? Work on yourself so you can be comfortable with these unnatural behaviors, actions that you've been taking. And unemotional, that means, yeah, this is my heir. I love my daughter, I love my son, but I love the deity more, and it's for their best good. That BS. It's genocide. And an unglamorized type of devotion. Y'all see that? Without such qualities, we are cold-blooded and insipid, like salt that has lost its saltiness, fit only to be discarded. In other words, if you're not following the church's doctrine or the mosque doctrine, you're worthless. And the doctrine, in my experience, is genocidal. It destroys home. JC said it himself. He said he didn't come to cause harmony. He came to put a wedge between father and son, mother and daughter. Y'all know how that goes. Well, there's truth. Genocide. Physical genocide, civil genocide, and genocide in terms of harming families, destroying families and communities. That's genocide. It's not just, a genocide is not just killing people. Okay? It's anything that harms the family. So that would be killing, it would be causing civil death, All right? Cause it, so civil death, you have no birthrights. No birthrights. Causing what? It's also attainders. Attainder. But we do that to ourselves. Do y'all know that the punishment for breaking the Most High's commandments, for not following natural law, are you aware that the punishment or the curses are in attainder? Do y'all know that? Yes, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68 is in attainder. It is in attainder. And they are hitting us with attainders and bills of attainder, day in and day out. Okay, so you're living the curses. Those of you who are in denial, sometimes I talk to people and they tell me they just refuse to believe that we are cursed, are a cursed people. It's so sad. They don't know anything about law, and they don't know anything about what they're talking about. Okay? So it is an attainder. Loss of birthrights, loss of your ability to inherit or to give an inheritance. Your heirs cannot inherit anything from you. They're completely cut off. That's like saying they're not part of your bloodline. Hence, corruption of the blood. Okay, hence, no competent heir is available to inherit. Y'all see that? This is the corruption of the blood. They just took off corruption of the blood of the contract. That has two meanings. Two meanings. The blood is not only the fluid circulating through your cardiovascular system, providing nutrients to all of your cells, carrying away waste products from all of your cells, and carrying messenger RNA, etc., providing defense, etc., for your physical body. It's not just that physical blood. It's blood in the sense of family relations. Blood in the sense of family relations. A corruption is a stain or soil, right? Or anything that has been changed, usually changed for the worse, is corrupted. Y'all see it? So corruption of the blood of the covenant means what? To stain, to make something that's good go from good to worse. Okay? Family relations, and then contract. So that would be the family. Families make nations, right? Nations are composed of families. So the going from good to bad, the family goes from good to bad. What family? The family of the covenant, the family of the contract, goes from good to bad. Y'all got it? This is the corruption of the blood as it pertains to families. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68 is an attainder. So when the families, right, this is the house of Yasharallah, the autochthonous Moors, when we go from good to bad, meaning that we stop following the Most High's instructions, we are not following the Most High's commandments, we are disrespecting our ancient foremothers and forefathers. We, the people, the families who are in a contract relationship with the Most High. Y'all understand what the corruption of the blood is now? It's the dishonorable conduct of the families or the nation that is in contract with the Most High. And they use that concept in law. They call it the corruption of the blood, right? So what happens? What happens? They put you in a civil state that says you're civilly dead. Now there's no competent heir to inherit due to what? Corruption of the blood. What does that mean? That means that you have been cut off from your family because of your dishonorable behavior, your dishonorable conduct. In other words, you're not following the Most High's instructions. You're not following his commandments. Therefore, you get the curses. Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 through 68. You get the attainder. And that, you can look that up in the Black's Law Dictionary. You can Google search the etymology of blood. So when they come in and foreclose on your house or take whatever property you have, well, that's why. Due to corruption of the blood. They just don't say corruption of the blood of the covenant because that's a giveaway. That's a giveaway. Okay? So when Moses sprinkled the blood, after Moses read the contract or the covenant, religion y'all say covenant. When Moses read the contract, and then the people agreed to all the terms of the contract. This is the Mosaic covenant. Moses sealed it or completed it by sprinkling blood on the people. What kind of blood? Was it the blood flowing through flesh? Or was it the blood of the grape? The climactic point, the most glorious time of the year. In fact, every aspect of the year is meant or serves the purpose of the harvest, where Mother Earth gives forth her abundant yield. Her abundant yield. And what do people like most? And what do we need most? If we're in an arid area where there's no water? Wine. Wine. Why? Because wine has alcohol content. It makes you happy, right? But if you're in an arid climate where there's no wine, well, now you have, where there's no water, rather, now you have wine. And then that wine is not going to be infected with bacteria or fungus. So you have something you can drink. Okay? To sustain you until the rains come. Y'all see that? So the wine is the climax of the harvest. The harvest is the climax of the year. Everything that happens from the first day of the year forward is for the harvest. And then the climactic point of the harvest is the ripening of the grapes so that you can make the wine. All right? So it's the blood of the grapes that he sprinkled over the people. Y'all understand? And that is symbolic or representative of, I should say. But by the way, why would he do that? Well, it's cosmological. See, he's doing that in harmony with what? With nature, the seasons. Okay? So the best of the harvest is used to seal or complete the covenant, right? Who was the blood sprinkled on? It was sprinkled on the autochthonous Moors, the house of Yasharallah. So in law, again, corruption of the blood is when the families, the autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, the house of Yasharallah, when we become dishonorable, we go from what? From good to bad. Y'all see it? We go from good to bad. Dishonorable behavior, disrespecting our ancient foremothers and forefathers. This is the corruption of the blood. The people have become corrupted. What people? The people who are in contract with the Most High to follow the Most High's instructions, keep His commandments, natural law. Y'all see it? So when they hit you with a bill of attainder, that's what they're doing to you. It's confirmation. It's confirmation that you're in the curses. But you never knew it. Hopefully you know it now. And the only way out of that, is to return to the Most High. Return to nature. Through the process that we already talked about, right? Noble Drew Ali gave us that. He brought that to the public. Remember, that was in the inner house. That was in the inner house. People on the outside of the house didn't know that until Noble Drew Ali brought nationality to our attention. Okay, so if you don't think he's a great man, who else could be a great man? He told us nationality is the order of the day, and it still is. Why? Because that's the only way you can return to the Most High, through nature. That's the only way you can overcome these psychic attacks, by developing a strong masculine energy. Y'all hear me? This is not religion. I'm talking to you about natural law. Okay, now let's continue. With them, that's these characteristics and qualities that we just read, we become suitably pure, virgin receptacles from which Christ may be born in soul, S-O-U-L. Y'all hear that crock of poop? So if you become genocidal towards yourself and your own people, Christ will reward you. Their deity will reward you for turning against your own people. Now, don't we see that? People like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, MLK, and those who are against their own people today, don't we see them being rewarded with fiat? It's just obvious. I don't have to go through it, but I think it's very obvious, right? So here there's a double meaning. The religious people see this as being, oh, you're going to be close to Christ and all of that. No, that's not what's being said here. That says that if you are willing to work against your own people, the religious or the religio-political economic system will reward you. Will reward you. Okay? So now let's see if we can find more. Let's get into the parable of the lost sheep. I'm looking for information about pettiness, okay? So let's see what we have. Still page 141. So the parable of the lost sheep comes from Matthew chapter 18, verse 11 through 14. which is 3 verses. Which is 3 verses. And y'all remember that 3 is associated with what? 6. The first perfect number according to nature. See, this has meaning. This is a parable of the lost sheep. This has meaning, y'all. This is a sign, in my opinion, a signpost to be recognized by those who are in the inner house. Remember when I talked about that? 11. That's the 2 pillars, right? The covenant of grace and the covenant of labor. The number 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. The perfect number in nature. Remember we talked about that? Matthew 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. Four plus 1, okay, chapter 11, verses 1 through 14. 14 minus 11 is 3. 4 plus 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. 7 is cosmic harmony. Y'all see this? I ain't making this up. Okay, so I'm on page 141. Matthew adds the parable of the lost sheep. Okay, cited at Matthew chapter 18, verse 11 through 14. Immediately after these warnings about indifference. Now this is Boots, the constellation Boots, remixed as the mythological figure who is in fact a Raphaim, a transitioned Raphaim, Boots, okay? They pair or match the Raphaim, the giants, with the constellations. This is Boots, what? The shepherd. Y'all see it? So what are they doing? They're using cosmic energy to empower their paradigm. What's their paradigm? Their paradigm is religion. Okay? Their paradigm is maritime, admiralty, canon, Christian law. Okay? Which is corporations, religions. Okay? Oppressive corporations, oppressive religions, intentionally deceitful religions that steal your birthright, steal your property. So that was Boots. The coming one, Boots, figure 17, does that sound familiar, y'all? Boots, the coming one, the shepherd. Boots, the coming one, the shepherd. All right. So Boots is a deacon of Virgo. That means Boots is a constellation in the neighborhood of Virgo. So if you look at this, you live in next door to, you live in a house. The house next door would be the deacon. Okay, that's the house next door to you. Boots is next door, or the constellation next door to Virgo. Okay, so Boots is one of the deacons of Virgo. Boots is one of the oldest named constellations mentioned in the Odyssey and has been identified for more than 3,000 years and possibly longer. Why is that important? That means that Boots the coming one, the shepherd, existed before JC the Christ figure, who is also what? The coming one. He's coming back, right? All y'all Christians and Hebrew Israelites, y'all are waiting for JC the shepherd to come back, not as a shepherd this time, but as a what? As a warrior. So Boots is shepherding. The Boots is shepherding the stars around the North Pole. That's why he's referred to as the shepherd. He shepherds the stars around the North Pole. Oh, listen to this. The most prominent star in Boots is Arcturus. Arcturus is the fourth brightest star in the sky. Okay, so the alias or another name for Arcturus is, get this y'all, is shepherd of the heavenly flock. Shepherd of the heavenly flock. So Boots, this constellation Boots and the story of Boots is much older than JC the Christ figure, or the shepherd of the life of heaven. Okay, so Arcturus is the shepherd of the heavenly flock, also referred to as the shepherd of the life of heaven. Boots is one of the twin sons of Poseidon. Poseidon, isn't that the deity of the sea? So Boots, twins. So whenever you see twins, you should automatically think what? You should think Gemini, twins. But you can also think what? You can also think Pisces conceptually. Why? Because it's two fish. And Poseidon is a deity in the water. And Gemini is any two things or people or its that have a close relation, like a brother and a sister. Two literal twins. A man and a woman, they have a close relation. They have some type of duty to each other. Well, two fish is Pisces, going in opposite directions. Two twin sons of Poseidon. So you're talking about water. This is what? The world of the dead, where the Raphaim go. I believe it's Job. What verse is that? Job, maybe Job 25:6. If it's not that, you can Google search it. Okay. So page 143 reads, we here figure, talking about Boots, we here figure a strong man, whom the Greeks named Boots, or Boats, I don't quite know what the proper pronunciation of it, the plowman. So Boats is a plowman. But he and the so-called plow are set in opposite directions. Y'all see? He and the plow are set in opposite directions. Now remember, Boots is a twin brother or twin sons of Poseidon. The plow is going north and Boots is going south, or vice versa. Right? Pisces is going north. One of the fish is going north. The other is going south. Y'all see it? Gemini, the twins, they are opposite, going in opposite directions of each other, right? In terms of their attitudes, motives, behaviors. Now, was it Christ who had the parable about the plow? No man looking behind, plowing a field, looking behind, something like that. Well, this is reminiscent of that to me. Boots in that parable. The plow is going in one direction. The plowman, he's looking behind, so what? He's going in the opposite direction. Y'all see it? All right. But Boots and the so-called plow are set in opposite directions. Neither does a man plow with uplifted hand in the attitude of this figure. The name thus transformed into Greek has in it a Hebrew and Oriental root, bo, B-O, which means coming, hence the coming one, or the one that was to come. Boots is not a plowman at all, but the guardian and shepherd of the flocks. That's JC, the brightest star in the constellation of Boots, also called Arcturus. We already read that. Guardian or keeper of Arctos, a word which in its oriental elements connects with the idea of enclosure, the ascending, the happy, the going up upon the mountains. This is size page 32. Okay, so are y'all thinking, you know what came to my mind? The transfiguration came into my mind. Size etymology may be strange, but JC's statement, quote, "For the Son of Man is come," y'all see that? There's another reference to Boots, "to save that which is lost," which immediately precedes the parable. And the reference to the mountains within the parable certainly seem to substantiate it. All right? Clear as day. The story has an obvious relationship with the virgin concern for the details. Most of us would be content that 99 were safe, that's 99 sheep were safe, and we wouldn't be inclined to jeopardize the safety of the whole flock by seeking out one straying sheep. And that's the truth. That's the truth. But most of us, when we read about the shepherd who goes out and searches, who leaves the 99 to go search for the one, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't leave my 99. A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? I wouldn't leave my 99 sheep to go search for one. No way in the world. I might send somebody else to search for it, but I probably wouldn't even recognize that it was gone. But because of the brainwashing, because of the threat, that's right, because of the bullying in the New Testament, if you don't believe, you're going to burn in hell. People just accept this stuff, even though that it's on its face illogical, not practical. People don't say, well, wait a minute, would I do that? Nobody says that. They just try to understand and agree with what's written in the text because they've been threatened. If you don't believe that JC is the Son of God, you're going to burn in hell. or you're going to die forever without a hope of resurrection. Y'all see it? So the thinking mind shuts off. And now you become voluntarily a sponge. And you accept everything in the story. Right? Narrative transportation. And you begin to live your life according to the story, which means you're living in fear. So all of this worship, all of this preaching, evangelizing, at the root of that is fear. Fear, your fear. Okay? Okay, so but capital G-O-D, who notices even the fall of a sparrow, a number of hairs on your head. That's Matthew chapter 10, verse 29 and 30. Looks after the small matters as well as the big picture. So what? What Hermetic law is Matthew chapter 10, verse 29 and 30? Reflecting or demonstrated. Notice this again. But capital G-O-D notices even the fall of a sparrow and the number of hairs on your head. Looks after the small matters as well as the bigger picture. So one, the Hermetic law of mentalism. See, there's nothing small and nothing big. Let me repeat it. There is nothing small and nothing big. They're all equal. Why? Why? Because when you look at the impact of an event, for example, the example used in the Hermetic, in the Kabbalion, is the throwing of dice. Or dice. You throw the dice. You get whatever number you get. But if you do that, let's say 1,000 times, it's going to be about equal. The numbers that you get will be about equal, right? This is stats. Statistically, you're going to get about the same numbers. Okay, and the greater the number of times you throw the dice, the more likely it is it's going to be 50-50. Y'all see the point? But what is it that makes the dice be whatever they be after you throw them? Well, it's the natural forces. For example, how you shake them, the force that you throw them, the friction on the surface that they hit, all of these forces that we are not aware of. Y'all follow me? We're not aware of all the forces that are involved and how they interact or relate to one another so that you get those numbers. But if we did know them, we'd be able to, in other words, if I had some sensors on my hand and sensors on the surface and sensors in the dice, and we knew all of the factors and laws, principles at play, I could shake them up, and then based upon those factors, I can statistically prophesy. I can prophesy using what? The laws of nature, and know what those numbers are going to be every time, and get it right. And get it right. Why? Because there's no guessing. Everything in nature happens according to law. There's no chance in nature. That's the point. There's no chance. Chance, according to the Kabbalion, simply means laws that are at play that we are not aware of or we don't understand how they work. Y'all see it? So each one of those little things, how I shake my hand, the angle at which the weight or the mass of the dice, the angle at which they hit the table, the friction on the surface, the surface of the dice in the table, all of these things. If we knew everything, we could measure and get it right every time. Okay? So one little thing in the moment, in time, can lead to huge things in the future. So according to mentalism, there is no small thing or big thing. They're all the same. Why? Because they all have the same progressive impact on what will happen in the future. Y'all see what I'm saying? So mentalism is at play. Also vibration. Also vibration. And rhythm. Why? Because the ebb, the rhythmic swing. Okay? So you throw the dice 1,000 times. Throw it, another 1,000 times. It starts to balance out. Okay? You throw the dice 1,000,000 times. You'll surely get the same numbers. Statistically the same numbers. You'll surely get it. But if you throw the dice once or twice, you may get different numbers, and you don't understand why. Okay? But anyway, y'all go read the Kabbalion or listen to the audio book, and you'll get all the details associated with what I'm talking about. Let's see, where are we? So that's the Hermetic law in Matthew chapter 10, verse 29 and 30. Mentalism and vibration. Mentalism, vibration, and rhythm. Also, cause and effect. Cause and effect. Prominently cause and effect, right? The shaking, the surface, the friction, all of that, cause and effect. But remember, although there are 7 laws or principles, they're all expressions of the first, which is mentalism. Okay? Each of the 6 are expressions of mentalism. And mentalism has no beginning. Y'all hear that? The mind has no beginning. The mind is intelligence, consciousness, awareness. It has no beginning. And it has no end. So the whole concept of evolution is BS. There never was a time when man was not. Look at this quote from Mother Teresa, who was a Virgo. Quote unquote, little things are indeed little, but to be faithful in little things is to be great. So do y'all see the Hermetic laws that we just talked about in that? I didn't see anything on pettiness, which is the whole reason why I went through this again. Let me look in the subheading, Religious Experience of Childhood. Maybe it'll be here because children can be petty, right? Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm scanning. If you know or have an idea, if you read this and you know where pettiness is, let me know, and I'll go to it right now. Save us some time. Be patient, y'all. I'm still scanning. Okay, so I don't see it in religious experience of childhood. Let me So I didn't see anything about pettiness, y'all, directly. But let me think. One moment, please. I don't know about y'all, but a religious person can't tell me anything about children, given their track record. You know what I mean? When it comes to children, and from my point of view, a religious person needs to keep their mouth shut. Because of the history of religion. Past and present. The crimes they've committed against children speaks to their mentality. So at the moment, I don't see anything directly. I haven't found the word pettiness in the chapter. But if the author is referring to, if he's alluding to pettiness by his statements about Virgo people being holier than thou, a holier than thou person can be petty, right? The self-righteousness can be viewed as petty. So I don't know if he's indirectly pointing to it in that way, but I have not seen the word petty in the chapter that I can recall right now. Perfectionist. So some people may say a perfectionist is petty, right? All right, y'all. Well, so the author may be referencing those personality characteristics that I just discussed. I don't see it, so I'm going to move on. I don't see it directly. Okay, y'all, I'm done looking. So let me bring this to your attention. We discussed it in a couple other videos, but I want to say it again. Note this. Note this. Page 136. Notice this, y'all. This is one of the numerous paradoxes of the spiritual life. So what I want to focus on is the spiritual life, not the paradox, the spiritual life. Note, this is one of the numerous paradoxes of the spiritual life, whose laws operate, so the laws of spiritual life, this is religious spirituality. This is what? Abstract, imaginary stuff that only exists in your mind. The laws of the spiritual life operate in a manner quite different from the ordinary laws of physical life. Did y'all hear that? Physical life would be what? The laws of nature. Y'all hear that? The author is telling you that the laws of nature are different than the imaginations of than the workings of your imagination. They're different. Hope everybody sees that. It's not me, Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School, who's saying it. This is a learned man, a Christian reverend, who's saying it. Okay? What's the point? Christianity, as all other religions, depend on you using your imagination. Things that are not real. Let me repeat that. Things that are not real. Things that you cannot experience with your senses. Sight, smell, taste, hearing, and what? Touch. You cannot experience these things like that. It's your imagination. But with the laws of nature, it's tangible. You can only experience them with your senses. With your senses. So they're concrete, they're tangible. That means they're what? Nature is substance. Substance. So land is, okay, substance, tangible. Land is the substance or subject matter of the law, not your imagination. So I want to leave y'all with that, okay? JC informs us that in order to save our life, we must lose it. Mark chapter 8, verse 35. And that suffering and self-denial are a necessary part of following Christ. This is Mark chapter 8, verse 34. We can only realize our true divinity by relinquishing it. Y'all get that? It's saying that you're a deity. You're a quote-unquote God. But you can only realize your godship, Psalms 82:6, by giving it up. In other words, what he's telling you, if you read between the lines or look at the second meaning, what he's telling you is that this fake JC, this fake created biographical story is telling you that in order to save your life, you need to give up your nationality. You need to rebel against nature. Okay? And you need to become a stateless person, a corporation. Y'all see it? And you need to start living your life according to what? Your imagination. The imaginations of Christianity, Christian religious doctrine. No longer on nature and natural law, these concrete things, the substance, right? Where you're the king, you're the sovereign. Covenant of grace. So JC is telling you, you need to give that up. But no, he's probably not telling you. He's telling people in the inner house, they need to make you, the masses, give that up. Whether they know they're giving it up or not, they need to put the masses of Moors into a religious state of mind, an abstract state of mind, disconnect them from nature. That's what I'm seeing here, okay? Make them believe that they're not, quote unquote, gods. They don't have complete control and authority over their own life on earth. Make them believe that, but they'll have it when they expire, when they go to heaven, or at some future date that y'all will never come. We all know that. Okay? That's the only way you're going to be happy and have all of your needs and wholesome desires filled. This is the instructions given to the inner house to inflict on the masses through what? Through their educational system, through their legal system, but most importantly, through religion. Anyway, that's all I got. I'll see y'all on the next video. Be sure to like and share this video. Help to distribute it. I look at the likes, and actually it's quite irritating that more of you are not liking the video. If you stay longer than 5 minutes, like the video. Nobody's gonna know if you're afraid of that. Okay? Or if you sit here and you watch the video, your deity is not going to punish you just because you like it. All right? So the number of views that I see on my analytics and the number of likes, they don't match. All right, so if you're not going to like and share the video, if you're not going to subscribe, just don't come here, all right? Find somebody else to watch. I don't want to give an education to a person who's not willing to support my work. You don't deserve it. Go back to a religion if you want to be black and act black, or African American or Latino. The content that I'm giving is not for you. All right, y'all. Shalom. I see y'all on the next one within 12 to 24 hours. Islam to all the Moors.